everybody, and welcome back to another AGP Creator Podcast. As always, I am your host. I am Amanda, the owner-operator of AGP, and today I am so excited for who my guest is. I've been after this guy for the longest time, and to be honest, originally, I was absolutely terrified to ask him to be on this show because I just thought, such a big name, there's no way he's going to come up to some little pathetic thing like me. But of course, as always, in the brightest day, in the blackest night, this creator kept escaping my sight. But through all my begging and all my whining, now you see, Darryl Banks is on AGP!
Yes, finally. Okay, before we go on, terrified to ask me about it?
I was so terrified because, yes, me. That's the funny story I told you.
Because you're so shy and quiet,
Yes, so introverted. You're just such a huge name within the comic industry, and I'm just like, I'm such a little person on the podcasting aspect of things, and I'm just like, there is no way the great Darryl Banks, one of the creators of a Green Lantern, the guy who totally came up with one of the coolest outfits for Parallax ever, is gonna ever want to be on my itty bitty little show.
Surprise.
And finally, and it was just so funny because I finally get you on the show. Not only do I get you on the show, but you helped me also get Bob Hall to want to come on this show.
Oh, is that right?
Because he saw me talking to you, overheard my conversation with you, and then he gave me his card with his personal phone number and told me to text him to get him on the show. That's
awesome. That's awesome.
So
wow.
I now owe you my next guest.
That's funny. I mean, I was collecting Bob Hall stuff when I was a kid. It's just the idea that the concept that we're like somehow peers or something. That's funny.
It's great. And of course, I mean, I've been a fan of yours forever. I have a lot of the Wizard magazines. You know the little posters that they used to have in there? You did one of those. I have one of those up in my wall in my living room. I got to get it and bring it to you one day and get you to sign it. Like, I've been a huge fan of yours forever.
Thank you.
Hey, Kitty. Yeah, poke your head up. This is the amazing Darryl Banks. This guy has done everything. And I do mean everything. You are an extremely talented artist.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. You have worked with Devil Deuce Publishing on their G.I. Joes. You've done Captain America. You've done Justice League America. But most people probably know you from your Green Lanterns. Being one of the creators of Kyle Reiner, designing the costumes for Parallax, Dr. Polaris, and Dr. Light.
Well, now with the Dr. Polaris, that actually, for some reason, that costume unfortunately got attributed to me. That's actually designed by Joe Quesada. However, the fact that we did so much with him, I don't know, for some reason we kind of connected. But I can't take credit for another artist's work. That was the great Joe Quesada.
Way to go, Joe! It's awesome.
But Joe's great. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I think about. Well, you know what? Let me warn you ahead of time. If I start to ramble and start to drift off, don't be afraid to reel me back in, because as anyone that knows me, like, you got him started. Now he's going to start rambling. Don't be afraid to kind of reel
rambling is totally okay. Go ahead, ramble all you want. Okay. But you've been a fan of comics since you were little.
Absolutely. There was not a time that I didn't like comics or drawing. Earliest memories. I don't know. I for some reason I thought that was normal. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know. Kids in my age, we all were into some comics. I wasn't always into superheroes. I mean, I started with stuff like Archie and what's the one little military guy, Sad Sack, and little hot stuff. Harvey stuff, and then the superhero stuff kind of came a little bit later.
There's Fuel the Hatred with some fire for the podcast. And Mary, she says, we love rambling and hello.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so you said you're always into superheroes. Do you remember your very first comic book?
First comic book or first superhero comic book?
First superhero comic book.
I think it was several at once. One of them was a lot of them were Marvel was a lot of reprints in the 70s. It seems like I was gifted with a bunch of reprint stuff like Marvel Triple Action and what was the Spider-Man reprint? Amazing, was it Marvel Tales? I think it was called
Marvel Tales, yeah.
Marvel Tales. Whatever the one with the reprints of Thor, the reprints of Spider-Man, and the reprints of Avengers. That I definitely remember because Avengers, I don't know, something about that team dynamic just always stuck with me. I mean, one of the main reasons I wanted to do comics professionally was to draw the Avengers. And so, amongst the first superhero comics I ever got was Marvel Triple Action. And, the art of the great Don Heck. Amazing stuff.
Nice. So that now that you asked me the question back, what do you remember your very first comic book?
Amongst them, even though I love the Avengers, the single hero obviously was Spider-Man. I mean, how many people can say, "Oh, I grew up on Spider-Man"? It's kind of hard not to. To me, he's just the perfect storm of what makes a really great superhero.
Not only that, but a lot of us started young, so we could relate to him being awkward and kind of teenager-ish.
Right. So, so absolutely, like I said, the Marvel Tales reprint. I think the first one was had the Green Goblin. It's kind of like what a way to start. So, those are some of my earliest superhero comic memories.
Nice. So, I'm sure you get this question a lot, being the fact that you work on Green Lantern. Which Lantern Corps do you associate yourself with?
Green. Green. And it's not just because, obviously, since I worked on it, but I mean, I think about the emotional spectrum. Obviously, has its values, but willpower. It's like I once again talked about how Spider-Man was relatable. The Green Lantern willpower, that's also relatable. I mean, with the work that you do, how many times that you may want to give up. You're like, I have to do this. There are people counting on me. I'm counting on myself. Willpower. So to me, that's, it's green.
Makes sense. I bet you can't guess mine.
I'm going Red Lantern.
I love, or Black Lantern Corps. I'll take either.
All right.
I'll be an undead person. I'm okay with that. What are you doing? This is not your show. Here, say hi. Hi. There you go. Leave it to Fizzgig to try to crash everything. Of course, then again, she may be a fan. She does have a Green Lantern scarf, so.
Really?
Yes, she does. She's not wearing it today because it's getting washed, so she's wearing her My Little Pony one, but she does have one.
Oh, okay.
She's a Green Lantern fan. We watch cartoons and I read comics to her. Okay, she's a nerd dog.
A nerd dog.
She's a nerd dog. She's named after one of the creatures from the Dark Crystal. Come on.
Oh, is that where that name comes from?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a huge nerd, like you.
Aren't we all? Make the world go round.
So, okay. So how cool is it that your Green Lantern got really accepted by the fans? Because I hate to say this, but like Guy Gardner,
see,
yours is cool.
I have to admit, I can't think of the only lantern I think I didn't like was probably, and I don't remember his name, but he kind of looks like a hot dog with one eye. I don't remember his name. I mean, I don't know. It was a character that I thought. This is before, years before drawing Green Lantern was even an idea. I was still doing independent stuff, and I would just see Green Lantern. I thought, here's something that I always felt like Green Lantern should be a much bigger deal to DC Comics. Now, I have to preface this by saying, growing up, I was Marvel. DC, yeah, I've heard of that. Marvel, I was Marvel all the way, but there was something about Green Lantern. I thought, if they really look at what this character's powers are supposed to be, he should be as big of a deal. He should be amongst the top with Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, I felt. And it was because if you can create anything you think of, like, wow, you'd be pretty close to unstoppable, even with the yellow weakness,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just, but as far as Guy Gardner, to me, you got to have that character that people kind of don't like, but so that everyone isn't generic. So it's not like everybody's super friends kind of a thing. You know, you've got a spectrum. You know.
No, I get that. I mean, it's in all honesty, it's no different than oh, what was it? Which Robin was it? Uh, the one that becomes the Red Hood. Why am I blanking on this?
Our nerd cards are in jeopardy.
Our nerd cards are in jeopardy.
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd. No one liked him as Robin. You remember that comic when it came out and how many people called him? Was like, get rid of him. Just do it. He's not Dick Grayson. We don't like him. Get rid of him.
Then when he died, everyone was like, "Oh no!
Oh my gosh!"
That's the way it always works.
So, I heard that you co-created Kyle with someone, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you come up with, like, where did you pull like his personality and the idea of him from?
Well, that I got to give to the writer Ron Mars. My part was pretty much what everything looked like, with some exceptions. Like with Parallax, that wasn't just my design. I came up with that name as well. He was supposed to be called the Protector, and I remember when that was presented to me by my editor, DC made it clear they weren't even going to be flexible with calling him anything else. This was above my editor's head. It was like, oh, there was a character that DC had to come up with. It was some sort of anti-drug campaign, and for whatever reason, they couldn't use Robin in the Teen Titans story, so they had to come up with this character named the Protector, who was pretty much Robin, for all intents and purposes. And because they weren't doing anything with that name, they thought, we're going to make some use of it, and that's what Hal's going to be called. And I thought, did you read the script? Protector is the last thing that fits his personality.
Yeah.
I chose Parallax because, the very word has something to do with point of view. If nothing else, Hal's had a different point of view after the death of Coast City. So I really felt strongly that it matched his personality. Nope. Protector, that's it. So I remember writing down, it felt like a school assignment, why he should be called Parallax. And they thought about it. And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, that does make sense. Same with Kyle Rayner's symbol, the split half symbol. We wanted something creative because his costume design. You should see some of the rejected ones. Now remember, this is the mid early '90s or so.
I know.
He looked like. I mean, at the time, I'm thinking, let me come up with something that looks like it would fit in with Image, and it's kind of like cringeworthy.
Oh dear God.
So. But my editor, his main thing was, we don't want a really detailed costume because after 22 pages of that, you will thank me we kept it simple. He was right. Kevin Dooley was right on that on all counts. But with the symbol, they thought, all right, we're going a different direction with the costume, but we want to keep the classic symbol. And I thought, we've come so far. Let's even change the symbol. And it was like, nah, we kind of want to keep the classic symbol. Once again, trying to use my writing assignment skills along with some artwork. And I said, well, we did establish that Kyle won't say the oath when he recharges. I thought, but we can imply it in his symbol. That's why it's in the symbol in the middle. It looks like a circle with half and half. It's brightest day, blackest night implied. And they're like, oh, okay. Once again, they had to think about it. So then they're like, yeah, that does work. So it's funny. I see it on products and stickers and toys.
Look at you changing everybody's ideas on the things. Look at you. Who says a creator can't make a difference within the community?
Yeah, you got to make a good case. You got to make a good case. But getting back to your original question about Kyle's personality, that was something that Ron really fleshed out. Really, in all intents and purposes, Kyle was really inspired by Peter Parker. But I feel like over time, they really feel like two different characters, because that was our jumping off point. So much so that, we felt like he needed an Uncle Ben. And of course, I don't know if we have time for that one, but instead of an uncle, it was a girlfriend.
Right.
We know how that turned out. But yeah, I mean, that was the original thing was, Ron wanted this relatable young character that had many similarities to a Peter Parker. But the main thing was we wanted to reintroduce fans to what exactly is a Green Lantern. For those who've never picked up the book before, what are the powers, what are the limitations, et cetera, almost like a reboot, but not really. I mean, we didn't get rid of previous continuity, we just kind of added to it.
And yeah, I remember the girlfriend in the fridge.
Well, since you bring that up, one thing that I often like to make mention of, and I've done it a lot on especially at conventions and stuff. A lot of fans don't know is the comic you saw was not the way I originally drew it.
Right.
The way I originally drew the artwork is the door was open, so that she was still dead, but you could see the body was intact. But at the time, the comics code was like, oh, you can't show that. You have to obscure the body. And the first thing I thought of when I'm doing this refrigerator door was, I don't know about anybody else, but my fridge is not big enough to accommodate a body unless it's in pieces on different shelves. And that's exactly what people thought. Something that would have probably been forgotten a month later is now still a topic 20-some years later, all because of an attempt to censor something that just made it worse. Just made it worse. If they had left it the way I originally drew it, be like, oh, it's a shame, lost his girlfriend. Anyway, moving on. But it's like horrific,
But and I remember like years later, then people are like, oh, they played the damsel card girlfriend thing. And it's like, you're not understanding. It's more than just that. Not every situation is, oh, we're playing this card for this effect. It's not that all the time. And I'm just like, oy vey. But no,
Alex was not an established DC character, but my editor said they got more letters about her even before she died than they were what we did with Hal becoming Parallax. They were so fascinated with her character that came out of nowhere. And once again, hats off to Ron Mars for fleshing out a character. And I think maybe because he knew she wasn't going to be around a long time, we were able to really have some fun with the character. I mean, she was an established photographer, and she was a really good balance to Kyle to kind of help him straighten out and figure out what was happening with him, And so life wasn't fair, but she left us way too soon. Mm-hmm. And the end result was, wow, I really felt like Kyle wouldn't be, I think, the character that he is had she not have met her untimely demise. And it's funny, the goal was, we wanted it not to be a cheap gimmick, but to be something that drives the story.
Right.
Just like the old days of the death of Gwen Stacy or the death of Elektra or whatever, not just something like a throwaway character. It had to be something that advanced the main character's development. And I feel like that did that. It
did. It really did. The fact that this was his girlfriend before he got the ring. So this was something this still kept him grounded, kept him within his reality, still kept him for his human side, not just his superpower side. This was his grounding point. And to lose that was really devastating to him. And I really hate the fact that something that I thought was a very big pivotal moment within the comics actually ended up coining the phrase women in fridges or women in refrigerators or something. I'm just like,
it was even thought that Ron Mars hated women, which is funny because he's married and has a daughter. So so it wasn't it at all.
Does he really, or is it just a thing, or is it just a hoax? Dun dun dun. No,
I don't know. I don't think so. So, but you're never going to do a comic that someone somewhere doesn't like. That's how it is. Someone somewhere hates Star Wars. Why, I don't know, but that's humanity for you.
Someone somewhere is going to be basically butthurt over something. Everything that you do, and it's sad. It's just so sad. It's just like, it's a comic. It's a movie.
They're still fictional characters.
It is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. If you enjoyed it, great. If you didn't, we understand this, but it wasn't to upset you in the first place. It really wasn't.
Keep in mind that when we were doing all this, my editor told me that Green Lantern was about an eyelash from getting canceled. They were like, the the edict was, we don't care what you do. We'll give you total freedom. This book is this close. And so that's why we were able to just go crazy and have fun and experiment, because the higher ups didn't care. They were like, this book needs something, because keep in mind, this is around the time of the death of Superman, and there was crossovers, and everything death of Superman related spiked sales. And so it was kind of like, well, what can we do that would spike the sales and keep them up for Green Lantern? And it's like, oh, there's quite a few things we can do, and we did. Oh, I love the thing people say, oh, Ron Mars hates Hal Jordan. Like, hates Hal Jordan, made him at one point the most powerful character at the company. That's a
no, not even close.
Yeah. So
even though, no offense to your Kyle, Hal will always be my favorite Green Lantern.
Well, I mean, to me, even though he wasn't the first Green Lantern, he's the Green Lantern. When people ask me who I think the greatest Green Lantern artist of all time is, that's easy, Gil Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the idea of the basic green and black suit, the core, that's Gil. And to me, even though Alan Scott was before him, and obviously you got to give homage to how it all started, to me, the quintessential Green Lantern is Hal Jordan. If they do another TV show, or if they do a movie, to me, it's got to start with Hal.
It has to. And in all honesty, okay, let me ask you this. Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds. What is your honest opinion of it?
I thought, considering that was the first one, as a first attempt, I thought it was good. Think about, we've had some great Batman movies and some great Superman movies. Yeah, but if you go back to their very first attempt at live action, which in their case was the serials from the 1940s, not so good.
Right.
You have time to see it and think, all right, next time we'll do this, this, and this. And so I thought, for a first attempt, it was good. The main thing is they tried to do too many things in the Green Lantern movie. I would have made it just Hal versus Sinestro, and that's it. We didn't need Hector Hammond. We didn't need the parallax creature and all that kind of stuff. I would have just...
You mean that cloud?
I don't know, what is it with movies and clouds? Galactus was a cloud, Parallax was a cloud. Like, who in Hollywood loves clouds that much as a villain?
It's like, not to mention, how do you get to Parallax? Because if I remember correctly, isn't he like the entity within like the Yellow Lantern?
Well, that was Jeff Johns' take on it. I mean, it was, I think they made it so that, I think Jeff thought that Hal wasn't able to be redeemed unless we were able to say the devil made me do it. But Ron and I didn't feel that way. It was more like, have you ever worked on a job and been frustrated? Answer, spoiler alert, of course you have. We all have. That was Hal. He had done so much for the Guardians and for the Corps, and he thought his request was within reason, and he had lost his entire family, and he was pushed over the edge. And we were inadvertently kind of dealing with mental health after a tragedy.
Right.
More than, it was a monster. Now, that's not taking anything away from the great work of Jeff Johns at all.
No.
But more, we felt like we had a way to bring it all full circle. And there was a plan, to, restore everything, return of Hal as a Lantern, the Corps, and all that. But what happened was something that nobody predicted. People started to like Parallax. Next thing you know, he's behind 0 Hour and other things. And then with Final Night, something we had nothing to do with, and Parallax died in that story, and we were informed, like, oh, we're killing off this character over here. It's like, oh
thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's kind of take it out of our hands. Because in case you don't know, with comics world, especially with DC, there's a hierarchy. I mean, there's literally a hierarchy. As you would imagine, the Superman offices have priority over the Green Lantern office, and Batman over Superman, Justice League, etc. So there are offices higher up over Green Lantern that really like Parallax was a great character. So they were like, oh, we're going to make him a part of this big event, and he's going to die in the process. Now, obviously, in classic Monty Python, that quote, "I got better." He died, but he's all right. But the main thing was, that was not a decision we wanted to make, because the plan was eventually make Hal, a classic Lantern again. But he is now. He
is now, yeah.
But the funny thing is, there was a time where oh, we don't like this Parallax. Oh, you've ruined Hal. And it's like, but wait a minute. We realize we're really seeing him as a person, as a character, sort of like when Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams did Hard Traveling Heroes. It was really delving into character. And so we wanted to show that Hal was not perfect. How would you react if your whole family was suddenly gone, and those who had the power to maybe do something about it didn't want to help you deal with it? Would that make you snap? How would you react to that? Who knows? So that's kind of where we were going with it.
That man says, I've always hated those hierarchies. As a kid, I wanted Green Lantern to have more screen time. I forgot those Superman, Batman guys. Dude,
Well,
even with Super Friends, I loved Green Lantern. I liked him better than Batman and Superman watching the Super Friends as a kid. I've always liked the more obscured characters. Like Doctor Strange from Marvel was one of my favorite comics, and so was Ghost Rider, because they weren't mainstream. They weren't the X-Men and all that, and that's one of the reasons why I liked them. Iron Man, he was an alcoholic, drug-using, womanizing jerk. I still like the comics.
Well,
Now he's the favorite. Now everybody, including 3-year-olds, go Iron Man. He's not a role model, kid. He's really not.
I predict that it was a matter of time before Iron Man would become an A-list character, because when I was a sophomore in college, Iron Man was my hands down favorite character, and I hated the fact that he was kind of like a C-list character, maybe a D-list character. I'm like, one day everyone's going to know who Iron Man is, and he's going to be amongst the favorite. And we have to give a lot of credit to Robert Downey Jr. and his performance to help with that. But I knew that time was coming. I did.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr., you look at him and go, oh, look, it's Iron Man. In every aspect. It's kind of like when you were talking about the Green Lantern movie, it really wasn't that bad. A lot of people will say, the CGI did not hold up well. I will grant you that. And it didn't help that they already had the animated Green Lantern movie, which went through what I thought this was going to do. He gets me Sinestro, him and Sinestro are buddy. Sinestro finds the yellow power. There's that whole, all of that. But at the end of the day, I think Ryan Reynolds still pulled off playing Hal Jordan wonderfully.
Well, my problem with Ryan Reynolds is that him being a natural comedian added more of his personality than I think Hal really had it, especially at that point in his life. I mean, I get what they were going for, but some people thought, was he confusing Kyle and Hal? Which is funny because I just watched Deadpool 2 again yesterday, and that the after credits where he kills himself. Ryan Reynolds gets the Green Lantern script and Deadpool kills him. It's kind of like, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool.
Oh my God, yes. I am so glad he got to redeem that character, because from X-Men Origins Wolverine, oof.
Yeah, see what happens when Hollywood doesn't really want to stick remotely close to the source material. But and then the question I would get was, who would I cast as Kyle Rayner or with Hal Jordan in the movie? That's hard to say. Even when I was drawing the book, I tend to think of actors and actresses as I'm drawing them. With Hal, my Hal was Dennis Quaid. If you've ever seen the movie Enemy Mine,
yes,
when he's got the jumpsuit on and all that, I'm like, and his character, I'm like, that's Hal. Even him as Parallax. Have you ever seen the movie Wilder Napalm, where he had the flaming powers and he was kind of like an angry? I'm like, yeah, there's Parallax. I'm like, so there's my there's my model for Parallax. Although I think I hadn't seen that movie when I was drawing it, but I mean that kind of cemented that. Enemy Mine I had, but also with the kind of haircut that Parallax had, that was kind of a throwback to the movie Falling Down with Michael Douglas, because I thought the character Defense in the movie Falling Down he wasn't an evil person, he had just been pushed too far, and I thought that's Parallax, that's Hal. He's just been pushed too far. He's not evil, but circumstances he just couldn't deal with it, maybe in the best way, and he snapped. And so I thought, yeah, okay, that's to me, that's Hal. He's like the Michael Douglas character, which I don't think he ever even had a name in the movie. They just called him Defense because that was on his license plate or something. But with Kyle, I've never found that one person. I was like, that's him. That's the guy. I've looked. Someone had suggested this actor from the show. I think it was called Teen Wolf or something like that, which I hadn't seen. But they put a picture on the screen. I thought, okay, maybe I need to check the show out to see if I think that'd be a good choice. But other than that, I've never really found anyone I thought that person could do it. So it could be a surprise if they go that route. Oh, lost the sound. What did I do?
Oh, that's me. Actually, that was my fault because I had closed the camera up to talk to a young lady here.
Oh, okay.
But no, I totally agree. And no, she's being so bad. What was I saying? Because I messed up and muted myself. Don't worry, guys. I'm a professional.
Well, about talking about casting, one thing I want to make note of is sometimes a casting choice I could be convinced. I remember when Michael Keaton was chosen to be Batman, I thought, Beetlejuice? No, he can't be Batman. But then I saw the movie, like, I was wrong. Another Chris Evans is Captain America. I'm like, the guy that was the Human Torch, him as Cap? No, I mean, is he? I don't know. Could he pull that? Now it's kind of like I can't picture anybody else pulling it off.
He played that really well. He did.
Yeah, he became Steve Rogers. I was like, wow, I did not think that was possible.
In all honesty, every Batman since Michael Keaton, everybody's gone, no, that can't be Batman.
Well, I think people like Christian Bale. I think wasn't he pretty well received from the beginning?
See, I honestly don't know because I try not to pay attention to that stuff anymore because there's always somebody who's out there going blah blah blah. And at this point, I've learned you've got to give it a chance, watch it, see how it works, and then give your opinion. But remember, it's an opinion. Just review it.
It's a review. Like, what did you think of it? There's not a right or wrong answer. It's like, what did you think of it? So
you just put Beetlejuice Batman in Kitty's image.
Or imagine Beetlejuice as an opponent of Batman. Like Batman has to, get help from, I don't know, Zatanna to stop Beetlejuice or Etrigan the Demon, and Batman team up and meet Beetlejuice or something.
See, this is why Darryl still has a job, because he pitches these ideas and then DC goes, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I mean,
seriously, somebody's going to hear it and somebody's going to be like, I mean, come on, everybody. I mean, everybody keeps talking about Michael Keaton because, there's been that whole, he may come back as Batman, and he's been in the Spider-Man movies, and that would make a fun movie with those two. It could happen. You never know. Especially with the Beetlejuice being really popular again because of the Broadway show.
Oh, I didn't know that. There was a Broadway show of Beetlejuice.
There's a Broadway show that is absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
It is so good. Wow. You can catch clips of it on YouTube if you want to check it out. I enjoyed Keaton as Batman. He was a good Batman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really did. I do remember listening somewhat of the controversy. I was kind of young. I mean, remember, I was born 79, so I was still kind of young, and wasn't exposed to everybody yelling and disliking everything yet.
Okay, that was still pre-social media, so.
No, no, Mr. Mom.
Maybe not Mr. Mom. Have you ever seen Multiplicity, where he makes all the clones?
Imagine, dear Lord.
Batman dealing with clones of somebody has cloned Batman over and over again, and he's got to find out which is the real me.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I am the night. I am the night. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Should be writing this down.
That's one of those. Okay, and I'm just gonna throw this thermonuclear detonator in here and just solve this problem. Okay, cool. Bye. See ya. No, I don't think I could deal with that. At least it won't be like the Christian Bale's Batman, because then that'd be really bad, because it'd be like, I bet. Dude, seriously, you sound like you smoked 2 packs of cigarettes within one day. Not cool, man. You might want to chill out on that.
The best Batman voice of all time is Kevin Conroy. That's it. The Batman animated series. To me, that's my favorite take on the character.
Multiple personalities, all of them Batman. What if Batman had to fight the multiple copies of Beetlejuice?
Oh, that's scary.
Dude, Batman the animated series. That's gold there. Kevin is phenomenal as Batman, and Mark Hamill, his Joker. And then, I mean, look at that show. That show created a character, Harley Quinn, who has gone off and done her own thing.
That is correct. And I'm thinking about, maybe it's time for another Green Lantern animated series. And we had the CGI one, which was also very good.
Really good. And then we had the DC animated movies, which were phenomenal. I thought I thought DC was in the works for a live action Green Lantern Corps movie originally.
Well, then it shifted to talks with doing an HBO Max series, but then here recently, all the changes they've been making with their entire library of characters. So right now, who knows? And on all honesty, it sounds like they're basically watching, all right, we give up. What's Marvel doing? All right, like they have Disney Plus. All right, we're going to get rid of the CW stuff and focus on, maybe our HBO Max series and that sort of thing. So we'll see.
Look, right here. Look, screenshot this, send this to your bosses and show them, because there's a lot of people that I know that have said this for many, many times for the Green Lantern animated series to continue.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I can't imagine people going, who wants a Green Lantern animated series? I mean, why not? I mean, there's so many ways you can go with it. I liked what they were doing. It was a good jumping on point, etc. So,
and you really got to learn about the Lantern Corps. They taught you about the other lanterns, because there's a lot of people out there who they didn't read the comics, so they may not know. Dude, there's indigo and red and yellow, and there are so many different colors of Lantern Corps. You have no idea, people.
A lot of people learned from Green Lantern from the Justice League animated with John Stewart. I think a lot of people, their first Green Lantern may have been John Stewart, which, to this day, I would love to meet Phil Lamar. I think that would be so meta that both of us saying the oath at the same time. That's a bucket list thing for me.
All right, let's see if I can make that happen. Anybody know how to contact this guy? Hey, I need you to come on my show for like 30 seconds. Can you do that? That'd be great. But no, I mean, it introduced the world to actually how vast the Green Lantern Corps really is. It isn't just, a lot of people mainly focus on the ones that come from Earth, not realizing that there's a giant planet that's a Green Lantern.
Mogul.
Yes. It's like, no, that it extends, when it's a core, it extends throughout the entire universe, and it's massive and it's complex. And watching, and then of course you get to watch Hal as he struggles being because he's different and trying to learn these things and how he adapts to it. It's a great story, and I do believe that even today, Green Lantern really hasn't gotten the appreciation that it should.
I think it's getting there, and also
it's getting there, but it still hasn't gotten there.
Some great villains to work with, and it's. I think the characters are so flexible. There's so many types of stories. I think about, I mentioned earlier, the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams stuff. That was really down to earth type of thing, but then you can go really cosmic with it. So many different directions with it, and I think that's part of the reason I really like the characters and the concept from the beginning.
Oh yeah, it was Kitty. Yes, it was very beautifully done. The CGI was absolutely gorgeous. And see right there, people didn't know about the other different lantern colors. I did, because I have all the rings. What? They're cool. Do you remember when the big plastic ones that came out and you could get every Lantern Corps? I think it was actually during the time that they were doing, what was it, in the comics? Because it was like all the Lantern Corps had come together. because Wonder Woman died and was now part of the Black Lantern Corps.
I think it was just called Blackest Night. Wasn't that
Blackest Night? Yeah, Blackest Night. I think that's when all the rings came out, and I got everyone. I mean, I fought to get every one of them.
A lot of comic shops had those, right by the register. You could, if you came and got your pull of books, you can get yourself some rings. It was a good promotion, really good promotion.
See, Green Lantern and Teen Titans were as Kitty's introduction into DC. See, give Green Lantern his due.
That's correct. I remember,
and then give Darryl a paycheck. No,
they do that anyway. I remember the first super team Kyle was on was the Titans. And I remember thinking, well, the Titans is cool, but sure it would be great for him to be on the Justice League. But I don't know if they would be okay with that. And of course, that time came. One of my favorite panels I've ever drawn. I mean, I don't say this lightly, but there was a panel where Batman and Kyle were arguing over something in a panel of Justice League I did. And I felt so like that really validated the character, even though he had been around for a couple of years at that point. But just the idea, like, he's sharing a panel with Batman. I mean, that's right up there with, I remember the issue that Superman and Kyle teamed up to fight Mongol earlier in the story. And I thought, wow, Kyle and Superman, it was mullet Superman, but still.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with mullet Superman. That was cool back in the day.
If they, I think there was an action figure of that one. I think it sold out. So, mullet Superman is a well-beloved design. He just is. I just thought it was funny. Superman gets a mullet, Clark Kent does, and no one goes, wait a second. Yeah. But see,
it's the glasses. Duh.
It's like, when I take my glasses off, I look like a total.
Where'd Darryl go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh, you're back. Oh, thank God.
And I'm back.
See? I thought you left.
But for some reason, when I was younger, that used to be irritating, but now I just think that makes it fun. It's kind of like, posture difference, glasses, and that's enough. But to me, it's fiction. It's fun. It's entertainment. That dovetails right with my love for Japanese superheroes and Godzilla and that kind of thing, rubber suits and the creatures and all that sort of thing.
You're into anime and Godzilla?
There was never a time where I didn't. I mean, I have rooms full of this kind of stuff. I remember I was at a show in Lexington. I got to meet the original suit actor of Ultraman, and to this day, that is my number one favorite, hands down favorite convention moment. Ultraman and I doing the pose together, and it's like, that's it. That's ultimate bucket list, and everything else is just a close second. That's number one, hands down.
All right, favorite kaiju.
Well, you mean second favorite? Obviously, Godzilla, Gojira himself. Second, probably.
By the way, you already answered wrong. It's Gamera.
Gamera
is number one.
Gamera's is on my Mount Rushmore kaiju. Because anything I grew up with as a little kid, definitely. See, I'm fighting that ramble because that to me that's
ramble it, do it. We are talking kaijus. We can ramble all day long.
But see, I want to kind of keep it lantern comic thing because we can do a follow up with that the other stuff. But remember, I said I want to be that guest that guest that people watching want to hear the answers and questions.
Okay. Then we'll do. Then one day then you are coming back to the show, and you and I are doing Kaiju Explosion.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do Ultraman and Kaiju, and we're gonna talk all about anime, and because I am so excited, because no, I didn't know. Oh, now you're in my world.
Instagram and you'll see. I mean, I think I put up a bunch of toy stuff today. That's my number one hobby. My action figure stuff.
See, now the world knows. Dun dun dun. So we discussed how we want to see how Green Lantern has impacted a lot of people. obviously, there's people in the chat that Green Lantern was their introduction to DC. And we both agreed that they're working on it, but they really need to push getting to Green Lantern to that point. Where do you think DC is going to go with being able to bring Green Lantern to the more masses?
I feel like they're doing that. It's just a matter of sometimes I feel like there might be a little bit too much emphasis on, well, where do we go with it with TV and movies? But to me, that's fine. But to me, the real characters are in the print media, the books themselves. And I think about what's Hal's been doing lately in the comics. To me, it starts with and ends with really great comics, and I feel like they're doing that. As far as making more people aware, I can't really think of what else they can do, but what they're doing. I mean, there might be more that they could do, but I feel like the word is getting out, especially with fan channels and social media posts and things of that nature. I discovered some of the older stuff could use maybe a little bit more press, because I had one of my prints I have with me at shows is the cover to Green Lantern Silver Surfer. I remember someone once said, Green Lantern Silver Surfer, that'd be a great idea. I'm like, no, this is the cover. This happened. Like, what? There was, like, oh yeah, well the person probably wasn't born yet, because the guy looked maybe 20 something, and like that, I did that. What, I don't know, 24 years ago, 25 years ago. So they may not have been aware of it. So there was a time Marvel and DC did crossovers. That seems so far away.
You remember the Marvel versus DC comics then? Yes.
I mean, even in the 70s when we had Superman versus Spider-Man, we had Batman versus the Hulk, that sort of thing. And then of course in the 90s we had the amalgam comics, after the Marvel DC crossovers. It was fun times. I often think, oh, that'll never happen again, but you never know. I mean,
you never know.
DC might, Disney and might be thinking about, what if, sometimes it just takes the right creative individuals who can pitch an idea and make it happen,
I mean, it would be really cool to see it again. I mean, they were very popular back in the days. I remember scrambling back in the day to get the Marvel versus DC comics, because I think it was like 2 was produced from Marvel, 2 was produced from DC, so you had to buy from both companies. But you had to get them all to read out the whole story on who would win this battle with this battle and so on and so forth. And it was actually really cool, because I think like Wonder Woman went up against Storm. That was kind of cool. So yeah, it was really interesting. What was it? Batman versus Iron Man? Because they both I think they both looked at each other, was like, you're just a rich boy in a suit. It's like, you're just a rich boy in a suit. You both are.
I would love to see Marvel and DC crossover, because I have a Kyle Rayner meets Nova, the Nova Corps and the Green Lantern Corps. I need to draw that. It's up here trying to get out. I'm like, I got to do it.
That would be so cool.
I know, like the Nova Corps gets caught up in and somehow, I want to see the Thanagarians, the Hawk people in there. It's like, but as far as the Green Lantern Corps and the Nova Corps, I got to do it. And then with a close second, Kyle and Peter Parker, a Spider-Man Green Lantern crossover. But the Nova Corps and the Green Lantern Corps, that's got to happen. It's kind of like, man, I just feel like a great universal wrong would be done if we never see that.
Well, then we have to make it happen now, don't we? So if everybody would just go ahead and please write to DC and Marvel.
And say, and also I would love to see maybe a time travel story with the Justice Society and the Invaders, the team with Captain America and the like somehow they have to team up with the Justice Society. I just feel like that's something I would probably leave to, like, I think an artist would be perfect. Jerry Ordway. I picture Jerry Ordway doing the Justice Society meet the Invaders. It's like, see, now I have to see that. It's like,
now you're making me have to see this. Shame on you, Darryl.
Like, I'm thinking, well, did that happen? Because I'm seeing that so clearly. Like, wait, did that happen? No, I mean seriously, there's crossovers I know I haven't mentioned. I'm like, was there a Justice Society meets? No, maybe not, but
I
I
don't
can
think
picture it.
so.
Or who else? Phil Jimenez. I'd have
Mhm.
him. If I couldn't get Jerry Ordway, I'd get Phil Jimenez to do it because he does those great group shots, that are just amazing. Phil's an outstanding illustrator. Period.
Yeah, the only things I see for Justice Society crossovers is with the Justice League of America. That's it. I don't see any other crossovers with
Okay,
anything with them. So make it happen.
it's
Do
got to happen.
this.
Come on. And I think DC is
Bye,
open for
kitty.
crossovers. I think it's more Disney that isn't, because I've seen, with DC they've had, crossovers with Planet of the Apes and Power Rangers and that sort of thing. It seems like, and Ninja Turtles.
Ninja
DC
Turtles.
crossover just seemed like,
Marvel really, ever since Disney pretty much has a lot of the Marvel properties, a lot of the crossovers has stopped.
yeah,
And as much as I really enjoy the movies that Disney has been able to produce, I kind of miss Marvel being Marvel and DC just being DC. Same thing with the Warner Brothers. Even though Warner Brothers has done some amazing things with the animated movies and a few of the live action movies, I still miss them being comic centric
yeah,
a little bit. Especially like you mentioned a little bit earlier on how the DC movie aspect keeps going. So what's Marvel doing? No, stop copying. Everything that you've copied from Marvel has bombed. The stuff that you just let be, like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie,
yeah.
was fine, was great. Looked at the reviews that it got. You need to remember to do your own thing. It's like when they were talking about, they wanted to do, you know, okay, I just went blank. I just forgot the name of the group. The Justice League. Duh. And they're like, we're going to do a live action Justice League. And they tried to cram what Marvel had been doing for years of this little big
Yeah,
thing. And then they went and decided to jump straight to Darkseid. And I'm going, you have Justice League Unlimited animated TV series, which gave you the great jumping point where you could have just basically made that live action.
and that's all you have to do.
That's all you really had to do, because most of the people that are watching the movie may not have actually seen it, seeing that it started off with Starro, which you ended up using in your new Suicide Squad movie. But it's like, you don't just jump into Darkseid. You need to build the Darkseid.
And it's funny, it's like, Marvel built up the Thanos, but Thanos was inspired by Darkseid.
It's like, build the Darkseid. We have to see paratroopers, and we have to see Granny Goodness, and we have to see her Furies, and we have to see Desaad and all the rest of them before we ever get to Darkseid. So I don't know what you were doing. No.
We got you got they got the suits trying to make these decisions, but maybe that's why they're in such a turmoil trying to right the ship. But I think they'll do it. I think they'll realize what needs to be done. At least I hope so.
I'm hoping so too. And like I said, where Marvel has killed it with their live action movies, DC still kills it with their animated stuff. Almost every Batman, other than the Killing Joke that they did, was phenomenal with their animated movies. And I sometimes wonder, why don't you just take the scripts from the animated movies and make those your live action movies?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just like the Green Lantern First Flight animated movie. I thought that's, I can't think that, and also the Darwin Cook inspired Justice League Frontier. What was it called? But you know what I'm talking about. It's just perfect. It's kind of like, wow. I mean, everything about it. I mean, the animated style really captured Darwin's artwork, and it was a great story.
The
to
voice acting.
Voice acting. I mean, that's how it's done. That's how it's done. I think what happens when you let creative people do what they do, that's where the magic happens. I think when it becomes too corporate and confined is where it starts to really get clunky and falling apart.
Here's a question for you. Do you think instead of them doing straight to video releases on these animated movies, maybe they should put them in the theaters?
In this day and age, I think doing it the way they're doing it is better. I think even though I don't think that COVID is the restriction it used to be with theaters, but I feel like that quicker access to be able to just pull something up on your phone or your, smart pad might be a quicker way to get to a larger audience, maybe setting up for something for in the actual motion picture, in the theater. But I think you need to have as much streaming as you can, and keep putting out the Blu-rays as well.
Yeah, where does DC do their stream? What platform do they stream on?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Okay. Did not know this.
The only
Don't have HBO Max. I have Netflix. Can we DC? Can you do something with Netflix?
Well, there's quite a bit of DC content on HBO Max. The only thing I think they don't have, and I wish they did, was the old Filmation stuff. Like, I'm a big fan of the old Filmation Superman. I grew up on that, and I wish they had that. That's hard to find. I found Prime Video has season 1 of the Filmation Superman, but they don't have season 2. Although I think I saw on eBay season 2 or something like that. But I don't know. It was just, that around that era, that's the first animated Justice League we ever got. I mean, they were about 4 minutes long, but still, I would like to see HBO Max get a hold of that really old stuff. Just like I'd like to see Disney Plus get the old 60s Spider-Man. They have just about everything else, but they don't have that. But yeah, like all the recent DC animated movies are all on HBO Max. I think Titans is on HBO Max. The Green Lantern movies on HBO Max. So that's kind of like their main home. That's like kind of their Disney Plus.
See now I've learned. So now I'm gonna have to get HBO Max.
Well, do you have HBO just on cable?
I don't have cable.
Oh, okay. Well, if
I
you
have
did,
Twitch, YouTube, and Netflix.
But like if you had HBO like on for your TV, then HBO Max streaming was just free. But if not, I think it's worth getting. I mean, there are movies on HBO Max that I don't see on Prime Video or Netflix. Some old stuff that I grew up on that I'm like, I do a search for. I'm like, well, where is it? Oh, HBO Max has that. So I think it's worth getting.
It sounds like it. I mean, I will be honest. I'll be honest. It's just. And where do you draw the line when it comes to how many of these streaming services will you have?
That's the whole question, isn't it? I had this to stream down my streaming. The whole idea was, well, I'm going to cut back my cable and I'm just going to stream stuff. And now it's like little by little, I keep adding channels. I'm like, wait a minute, that's going to be worse than it was before, because everything is like everybody and everything has got their own streaming now. It seems like.
Real quickly, huge shout out. Thank you so much, Diamond Walkie, for giving out 5 gift subs. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yay! So congratulations to Sean Forney, Miss Fuel, SBD Girl, and Agent. You're all now officially subscribed to the channel. Yay!
Awesome.
Yay! Sorry, had to do that. I sometimes things like that happen. Live show.
Appreciate the support. And Sean, I think he's in C2E2. If anybody is,
yes, he's at C2E2 right now. He's rocking it.
Yeah, as always. Sean really helped me with my get my digital game together. I bought a few years ago. I bought a Wacom Cintiq, and I didn't like the default stand for it. And Sean was like, "Well, I've got a stand that I think works great." And so he and Stephanie gave me tips on how to set it up and all that, and been using it ever since. I'd say 90% of all my artwork is digital now.
And yes, that man, Darryl is a great guest. He is phenomenal. He is the great and powerful Darryl Banks.
When he's not rambling about stuff that has nothing to do with Green Lantern, I keep thinking I should probably be talking about what I'm working on and what.
Well, yeah, actually, that was because we're at that hour mark. That was actually the next thing I was going to say is, well, it's almost time to wrap up. So tell people what you're working on currently.
At the moment, I'm working with an up and coming publisher called Strider Nolan Media. You can check out some of my posts on Twitter and follow Michael Katz, Katz, on Twitter. They're putting out a series of books called Riot Earp, kind of like Wyatt Earp. It's like a sci-fi futuristic story. They have books 1 and 2 on Kickstarter. Ron Mars and I are working on book 3, and so that's what I'm currently illustrating. Along with, I've been doing some DC covers here lately, and some short stories like Nubia and the Amazons, and covers whenever it's like a Joker variant cover. Kind of looks familiar. Where we see.
Hold on. You stay right there. Put that back. That is so cool. I love the ring.
I've seen that somewhere before. It's funny when they commissioned me to do this. They were like, "Well, Joker with rings." I'm like, "Green Lantern rings?" And they're like, "No rings." I'm like, "Well, what kind of rings?" There's I don't know, just rings. So I said, "Well, what if I gave him rings with the like bat symbols and pow and wham, that sort of thing?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's fine." So, what else? I've been doing some milestone covers as well. Like here's the first one I did.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let's get you soloed there. There you go. Nice.
And a host of other things. You know, when you're a freelance illustrator, you know, there's so many irons you have in the fire. That's the name of the game. But as far as comics, that's the bulk of it right there.
Well, it sounds like you stay busy.
If anybody's in the Cincinnati area in September, come to see me at the Cincinnati Comic Expo next month. And I'll probably see you there, right?
We will see. Don't know yet.
Also, I'll be at Dragon Con. You ever do? That's my first year at Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia. First week in September. So that's a 5-day show. I'm like, okay, here goes. My first Dragon Con is 5 days. So let's go. Let's see what we can.
Take some cough drops. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Because you will wear out your voice. Dragon Con is a huge party convention, so you're gonna see lots of cosplay everywhere, and it is packed and it is fun. It is actually this Dragon Con was the convention that got me into going to conventions, which eventually got me into working conventions.
Okay, because I mean, I've heard of it. I always thought it was a cosplay show, and they were like, "Oh, we want you to set up, at the show." I'm like, okay. But I kind of thought it was focused on cosplay.
This is actually this picture here is actually from my first year there.
Oh, okay. And then, were you there all 5 days? Like, wow, that's a long show. 5 days.
And then I was there, and that's another one being there. So yeah. Okay. Yes, I definitely know Dragon Con.
So you recommend that it's a good show then?
It's a great show. And it's one of those shows where if you're looking for something, you will definitely find it. So you might actually be able to find those Superman and Spider-Man things you're looking for.
Okay. All right. So I've those I've talked with that have done this show said, "Oh, it'll be fine. It's a great show, well attended, a lot of fun, a lot of activities." So I'm like, and really, I guess what I'm trying to put out there is, what are the fans like? Because to me, fans make shows more than guests. Because I've done shows that were celebrity heavy, and people go, "Oh, you don't want to set up in a show with a lot of celebrities." And I'm like, it depends. If fans can like whatever they want to like. I did a show in Rhode Island once that had a ton of celebrities, but I did great. So the fans really made it happen. So
the way that Dragon Con works, where it's different than a lot of the other shows, is they're set up at hotel rooms, and basically the people who want to meet the comic creators go to the comic creator portion of the show. The celebrities are kind of like off into their own thing. So if you're only there for the celebrities, they're only there for the celebrities.
Okay. All right.
And it's a big enough show, long enough, and jam-packed so much that it doesn't get in the way of anybody being able to, it doesn't impact going, like if you go to one show and they have a bunch of celebrities there and you see all these people come in, but they're all just staying over there. You're not going to see that at Dragon Con because they kind of have, you're into just shopping. This is over here. The cosplay stuff's kind of here. Of course, the cosplayers go everywhere. So, that'll be anywhere. The celebrities are over here. Your comic creators are over here. They kind of centralize everything. So people who go, I want to meet or I want to see, they book it straight for where they want to go.
Okay.
And it seems to work out really well for everybody. That's because Dragon Con seems to bring in everybody from the people who want to be there just to party to the people trust me, there are people there just to party.
Kind
It's
of shocked.
Dragon Con is the Las Vegas of comic book
Uh-oh.
conventions.
Uh-oh. Okay.
But I think you're going to have a lot of fun, and I think you're going to do really well there because, I went there and I met so many great people there, and the floor, the layout that they give the people,
Mhm.
it's a really great floor layout, and it tells you exactly where to find the people that you're looking for.
Good, good.
And then there's people like me who's like, I want to see everything.
Well, that's
5
good.
days is not enough. But yeah,
Yeah.
I started going to DragonCon in 2001
Okay.
originally. I haven't been since 2013,
Okay.
but I think you're having a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
You should, here's my question. When are you going to dress up as a Green Lantern?
I think that ship has sailed. Maybe about 20 years ago, I
Nah.
probably would consider that. But no, I have a ring. That'll my Green Lantern ring that'll have to suffice.
All right. Well, of course, everybody, you are on social media. You're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is the only one that you're going by Darryl Banks. The other ones are the real Bankster. Correct?
Twitter is Real Bankster and Instagram is GL Prime.
Okay, so the Instagram is the GL Prime one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, ignore what's at the bottom of the banner. I put because you have two. You do have two on Instagram. So you're GL Prime. Yes. Here, hold on.
One of them might not be me because that's the thing. People will claim to be someone else because I'm like I only have one. So if there's another one, it's a multiversal duplicate or something. But the real one is GL Prime. That's me.
Okay, so you're gonna love this. Hold on. That's the other one. There's no post, no nothing.
I can't help it. Okay, there's no post. I wonder, was I creating it and then changed my mind and then wanted to have a different name? I wonder.
It probably makes sense because you couldn't put the real Bankster on there. Probably.
No one, because a lot of the stuff, my daughter has to teach me how to do all that stuff. It's like at one point I had Facebook and that's it. And she was like, yeah, to expand your presence, you need to create some other stuff. Oh, that looks familiar.
I think I found the real account.
When you found the toys, you knew that was me. So.
Oh. I want this.
Well, it didn't come with the figure. Those green effects that came by itself, and I just said, "Well, they're green. They could look like Kyle created those." So I just stuck them in the middle of it.
That is fire.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is his Instagram account. You can't miss it. Look at you looking all happy. Oh, well, okay. Well, I didn't mean to do that. But okay, so GL Prime, so you're the Green Lantern Prime on Instagram, Real Bankster on Twitter, and Darryl Banks on Facebook. By the way, did you know that you have a fan site on Facebook?
I do. Did I know that? I'm not sure.
The
Art of Darryl Banks. That was created by a friend of mine years ago, and sometimes I forget about it. I mean, not because it was forgettable, because it was a great gift that a friend did for me. But once in a while, I can post to it. But honestly, I don't post on Facebook that much. I've just been trying to build Twitter and Instagram so much. I'm not saying Facebook is an afterthought, but it's an afterthought.
But it's a total look. I'll be honest with you. I get it. I know a lot of people. They still go on Facebook because that's where like a lot of their friends and where they started off at.
I've got some family members. That's the only way I can contact them is Facebook. So,
but Instagram and Twitter, that's what's happening, and that's where the young people are, and you kind of got to go with it.
Well, I like Instagram. It seems like I'm always finding either toy collectors or other artists on a more regular basis. I spend the most time on Instagram. It's more like, oh, I never heard of this artist. Wow, this stuff is amazing. Follow, that's
think about it. Even Facebook knows how popular Instagram is, because remember, Facebook does own Instagram.
Right. That's correct.
And they're constantly going, here, link me to your Instagram. Yep. I feel left behind. Get out of here. I mean, but I get it. I do. It's the same reason why everybody's like, why aren't you on Facebook more often? Everybody else is over here.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, nothing wrong with Facebook. Just, I'm an Instagram guy,
I want to go with all the popular people. I want to be one of the popular kids.
You want to sit at the cool kids table.
I want to sit at the cool kids table. I want the big table this year.
It's like, you want to sit at the adult table. You don't want to sit at the little kids table.
No. But, Darryl, thank you so much for coming on my show.
For part 1, because remember, there's got to be a part 2.
There's going to be a part 2. There's going to be no, you're coming on, and I'm going to have this really cool kaiju background, and we're totally we're going Ultraman kaiju all the way. It'll be welcome to Creator Podcast with Darryl Banks. This time we're talking kaijus.
Absolutely.
But seriously, Darryl, thank you so much for being on the show. I have known you since 2012, 10 years in making. And I finally had the guts to ask you to come on my show.
I think, was it Gym City? I said, let's just, we've been talking about it, let's just go ahead and do it.
Let's do it. Because like I said, but yeah, true story. I was always afraid to ask you to be on the show because I was just like.
See, I think that's funny. With anybody that knows you, the idea that you are terrified of anything. I thought, you wouldn't be afraid of a shark with a chainsaw, but the idea that you're afraid of anything, it's hard to picture.
It's just one of those things, it was more of, it's like, I don't, because I got to know you and because we got to be friends, I didn't want you to think, oh, well, she's just kind of hanging out with me because she's a fan or anything like that. Because no, we've become really good friends. I know I could come to you if I need anything. You know that you could come to me if you need anything. And then for me, it just becomes one of those things, well, I don't want him to say yes just because we're friends kind of thing.
I get people that I've never met before, even from other countries, asking me to do their podcast. The thing is, if I can fit it in, sure. I mean, if someone wants to listen to me ramble about Green Lantern or whatever, hey, that's fine with me. So people
probably would. I mean, I could honestly, I would see you being on Twitch or YouTube, setting it up, drawing Green Lantern and rambling about Green Lantern stories and how you got into Green Lantern and how you created Kyle and the people that you worked with to bring them to life. I could actually see that doing really well on both Twitch and YouTube. Just an idea.
If I were more organized with my work schedule, then maybe. I once a digital artist I follow, and I said, do you have a Patreon or something that I could, learn some of your technique? And he goes, oh, I'm just not that organized. I started to say, I know what you mean. It's like,
I know what you mean.
You do, and anything else extra, like, who knows,
Well, before we leave, is there anything else you want to say, Darryl, to anybody?
I want to just say thanks for everybody watching, and thanks for anyone who's ever bought anything I worked on, and I want to leave people with the idea that maybe you have a particular vocation or job that you want to do. Stick with it, because I think about it just with my comic career. It literally seemed like something was never going to happen, but I saw it. I knew it was just a matter of time. So I want to leave everyone with an encouraging word, and once again saying thanks for everybody who's tuned in and never picked up anything I've ever done. Hard hands.
And we love you, Darryl.
Thanks for having me on your show, Amanda. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being on here. Don't forget, guys, to check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All the stuff is down there at the bottom of the screen if you've been watching. And, of course, if you need more AGP in your life, don't forget to check us out. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and, of course, YouTube. On that note, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye. Take care.